Well, hello guys, and welcome to the Star vs. the Forces of Evil Spooktacular Edition. Because, being honest, is there anything scarier than teenage girls? I'm only partially joking with that. But no, seriously, welcome to Star vs. the Forces of Evil Rerun Review, Season 1, Episode 11 and 12, Mewberty and Pixtopia. One of these episodes is really special. The other one is utter trash. So every show has an episode that's a push-on point. That's finally the point where you realize this show is good. It's living up to its promises. It's worth watching, right? And you can watch a show for a few episodes and be like, yeah, it's doing some interesting things. But at some point, it has to do something that proves that this is worth watching, that this is a show worth devoting your time for. It's a push episode, an episode that finally proves that it can live up to its potential. And for everyone, this is a little different, right? For some people, it's going to be one episode. For others, it's going to be a different episode. But when it comes to Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Mewberty is my push episode. It's the episode that showed me that this show can live up to its potential, that it can do amazing things, and that it is worth your time watching. I love it so much. And for other people, it's different episodes. For some, it's probably Independence Day. For some, it's probably St. Olga's. For some, it's probably the season finale. But there's always a general trend. It usually always comes in the first season of a show, right? And it's just something that is outstanding. Something that shows a show's worth it. Other examples are Ocean and Mirror Gym and Steven Universe. You Have to Care in OKKO, and Rick Potion number 9 in Rick and Morty. At least for me personally. Again, it's different for each of us. And then there's Pixtopia, an episode that exists, and we'll get to it, and how it is utter garbage. But let's get into Mewberty. It starts off with Star is going through Mewberty, right? She's watching Oscar, and all of a sudden these purple hearts started appearing. And yeah, she's going through Mewberty, which immediately they just say, this is a metaphor for puberty. Which, of course it is. All shows like this have to tackle an episode like this at some point. I'm thinking of the one Teen Titans episode, where I don't even remember what it's called, but she runs away to the alien planet, and it's really weird. Every show does this at some point. And this one is really good. Yeah, it's a really fun. It's both an obvious take on puberty, like there are some one-for-one parallels, but it's also taking it to its extreme. But she keeps getting all these hearts and whatnot, and it's all to do with boys because she's going through puberty. Of course, it's always boys. I'm not saying that as like a derogatory thing. I expect it nonetheless. But they're trying to figure out what's going on and what Mewberty is. She starts shooting out. It's like webbing, but it's also it's more apt to a caterpillar, like a silk or something like that. But I don't actually know what it's called because I didn't do that good in high school biology. But she says that to solve this, they need to find Star's book. And that she gave it to Ferguson. We see Ferguson. This is the only funny line he gets in the entire show. He sucks 99% of the time. Ferguson's one good line is in this episode. Other than that, he can suck it. And we'll talk about that. Meanwhile, we see Star in the locker, right? Because she locks herself in to not run into any boys. And the swim team shows up. This episode's also hilarious. I'm not going to spoil a lot of the jokes, but overall, it is really funny. It has a lot of great things going for it. We find out that the magical book is with Jana. Jana! This doesn't really happen until season 2 when we get more of her, but she's my favorite character in this show. She is hilarious, and we've seen her in the background of previous episodes. But here, now, right off the bat, she makes an amazing first impression. She is really funny in this first episode. And Marco opens up the book to find Glossric. We go from introducing one of my favorite characters to introducing one of my least favorite, glossary of terms. I don't think he's, in his first appearance, I don't think he's that bad, but he's gonna get worse. He's really annoying. And then back at Star, we see that she's the Purple Hearts, which, I mean, they're, on one hand, they're a metaphor for pimples, but it also kind of reminds me of, like, shedding skin. This entire thing's a metaphor for a butterfly, right? Going from a caterpillar, then we see the cocoon, which is literally a giant purple heart, and then eventually becoming a butterfly, because when it breaks open, she now has wings. Right? It's a very obvious metaphor, and it's not the first show to do this either, but it's just so good at it. I know we always shit on cliches that, cliches are overused, they're overdone, we need to stop using them. But cliches exist for a reason. There's a lot of good things that can be done with cliches. There's a lot of creative ways to look at it and to take it. Because meanwhile, on Marco's front, he's giving Glossaric pudding to get information, and Glossaric basically just tells him that there's nothing he can do about it. That life finds a way, Mewberty will happen no matter what, and by trying to interfere with it, he's only going to make it worse. Which, yeah, I know that's always the metaphor of these puberty episodes, but I like how, because, yeah, the puberty episode is a cliche episode, but I like how this show delivers it. I think it does a good job at delivering the puberty message. And this whole life finds a way is a great example. And yeah, Star's kind of going crazy. The animation's also good. I've always loved the purples. When I first started doing the reviews of this show, as the end slate thing, I always used Mewberty just because I always loved the purples and the colors, right? It all looks great. And then we see Star, right? She's boy crazy. She's trapping boys in lockers. She maybe tries to kill Marco. Honestly, it's puberty, sure. I'll go with whatever. And then she eventually goes and tries to go after Oscar, right? The guy from, was it last episode? Maybe 2 episodes ago. But yeah, and it's the obvious, again, this is setting up the whole romance in the whole crush thing. But Marco tries to stop her, and Glossaric's like, you're just making it worse. So eventually he gives up. Sometimes you just gotta let go. And then she murders Oscar. She flies him up into the sky and kills him. Now he's fine. But after she comes crashing back down to Earth, because Marco, for some reason, thinks she's gone forever, because Glossaric never, because it's a metaphor for puberty, and it doesn't really fall apart, but the one thing is, like, puberty kinda never really technically ends. It's just evolution. Kind of like in a Pokemon sense, weirdly enough, and this is nah, well, not really. I mean, it's complicated is what I'm going to say. But yeah, no, Star didn't go anywhere. She's back to normal, but now she has wings. Which is actually really interesting. Something I really like. Because Mewmans and humans have always basically been the exact same. There's no difference between a Mewman and a human. They're the same creature. But then we finally have the Mewberty wings, which is like, no, they are different. There is a difference. Now, they do eventually retcon this into explaining that it has to do with, like, the magic in the wand and overexposure to magic. It's like a mutation, which, yeah, is honestly fine. I think it works fine enough. But that's Mewberty, the episode that made me fall in love with the show, made me realize it can live up to its potential. The other episode, though, is Prank Call. This is one of I don't know if this is the worst episode. I haven't rewatched the entire season yet, but in my memory, this is the worst one. And it kind of is. Even though there were some things I did definitely misremember about it. But it starts off with Marco, Alfonso, and Ferguson making these prank calls. Eventually, they overexceed Star's minutes, right? She's out of minutes, so they can't do anything. So they have to go to Pixtopia to figure out the whole minute situation. And Fergo and Alfonso beg to come along. And there's your problem with the episode right there. Ferguson, and Alfonso. These characters are fucking annoying and they suck. I hate Ferguson and Alfonso, and they are pretty bad here. They're what kill the episode. They just suck. Oh my god. I know, again, I was talking about how cliches can be used effectively. There's a reason they exist. They can be used for positive things. Ferguson and Alfonso are cliches that should just die. And they do. They don't actually die, you know what I mean. But while they're at Pixtopia, Stars, she spends this entire time just shitting on Marco. How is Marco going to star this one up? Because he overexceeded the minutes. This is all his fault. So the entire time it's, oh, you're going to star this one up. Oh no, I wonder what Star would do in this situation. Oh wait, you're the new Star. It's friendly teasing. And again, it's one of those traits I like about Star, that she can be more sinister. And they can't pay off the money, so eventually they get stuck in the shard mines. They can't magic their way out of it or anything. They're just stuck down there working in the star mines. It reminds me of that, oh god, what was it? Orion the Last Star Chaser? That Star Wars ripoff, that animated one. That's what I'm thinking of whenever I see this scene. And I like how when the magic doesn't work, they don't do the cliche sputter out. It's like literally just an X on it. That's kind of funny. Kind of. But eventually Ferguson gets in a fight with the guards and gets sent to the Queen. And the Queen thinks he's a king, maybe? But now he kind of hit it off with the Queen. Eventually Marco, Star, and Alfonso break out of the mines. They do a minecart chase, which I don't really care for. It's just not that... I didn't think it's that great. And then when they get back onto the surface, they find out Ferguson is being treated as a king and that he is to be married to the pixie princess. Okay, whatever. Now, in my memory, the way I remembered this episode is that the reason the pixie princess was marrying him was because they were going to eat him? But no, that's not what happens. He's just... it's like a legitimate thing, and Marco talks him out of it because he's still, 15 or something? But I don't get the conflict here, right? Nobody, Marco, nobody grows in this episode. Marco admits that, yeah, he can screw things up as well, but Ferguson and Alfonso have no growth. They do nothing interesting. There's no point. They're nothing characters. Ferguson is like, no, I can't do this. I can't get married. You're too good for me. And then we get a fight scene, and it's not that great either. I don't really care for it. But they're able to skate back to Earth, and the fairy princess is like, no, he was too good for me. No, thank you. And then it ends with finding out that they left Alfonso behind, and instead he's getting married to the pretty fairy pixie princess. Yeah, no, this episode does nothing for me. It's a waste of time. It's boring. It's uninteresting. It has two of the most unlikable characters in the show. And it's sad because it's attached to such a great episode. That always sucks, man. It always sucks. But I'll never have to think about this one again. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.